1 p.m. Central African time on day 349 of the lockdown in South Africa, coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios. This is On Point. Thanks so much for being with us. My name is Nzimande, and a special welcome to our SABC3 viewers. We are continuing our rolling coverage of the protests at Wits. So let's go now to our reporter, Chriselda Lewis, for an update. Very good afternoon to you, Chriselda. Tell us what's happening now. Visuals on the screen there from where Chriselda Lewis is going to be reporting shortly. What we do know so far is that these protests began yesterday at the Wits Medical School. Students trying to find out about their registration and what's going to happen. As we know, government has announced that NSFAS is not able to pay for first-year students. We are going to take a listen into what's happening now from the student leaders there.
I'm going to ask you to sit down, all of you, and I'm going to get the spokesperson to come and explain why is it that this person was shot. From there on, we will provide a line of march going forward. Minister Nzimande must respond in an adequate manner to our calls. Zeblon Vilagazi must respond in an adequate manner to our demands. Amandla, aweto, ayihlale phansi bambe umthetho.
Mpendulo, it's Chriselda from the SABC. We're live. Talk to us. Seems to be drowned in all of this is the student concerns. Talk to us about the key concerns of students and what has brought all of you here.
I think the primary concern was addressed long ago, and the primary concern is free education. Not in our lifetime now. We've waited for far too long for free education. But as it stands in the interim currently, we have students who are in university who can't register because NSFAS is clowning or is failing to pay for their fees. So the primary problem has been free education, and it's going to cure all of our problems. It raises largely all problems rise largely from that issue.
What are the issues here?
The issues, I've just explained, my brother, what the issues are. But just to reiterate for you, the issues currently, all of them, they emanate from free education in our lifetime. And not necessarily in our lifetime now while we are students. A lot of students, a lot of first years are unable to register as I speak to you due to NSFAS-related reasons. The government is deliberate in cutting funding towards higher education. And if we sit down, it does not matter whether you come from the PAC, you come from DASO, you come from SASCO, you come from any organization. If as a young person today you sit down and you don't say anything to the reduction that has been done to higher education in our country, not only will you be failing yourself, but you will be failing the entire generation. So we need to respond with the might that is deserved to the things that have been done to us.
But what seems to drown at the moment, there seems to be divisions between young people here. We see members of the EFF together with yourself, clashes that are taking place between you on who should speak about these issues. What exactly is going on? Are students divided on this matter?
There are no divisions between students. I must emphasize that. Students are united. There are no divisions between the EFF Student Command and SASCO, the ANC Youth League and every other organization. It's selfish individuals within those organizations. It's selfish individuals within the EFF that are trying to deviate and discourse from this. So there are no divisions. The movement is united, but like every other movement, we will have our divisions. And we need to have the maturity, political and otherwise, to maintain unity. And we will maintain unity at all costs.
Do you know who passed away here, Mpendulo? Do you know every student?
So
who passed away here?
All right, that is Mpendula Mfeka, who is the Wits SRC president. I'm going to see if I can't try and speak to someone from the EFF at the moment. They have moved, the EFF Student Command, they've moved away from this area at the moment. Just a few moments ago, what we did, let me bring you, in fact, to this direction first. I'm going to ask my colleague Tulo Munare to come this way with me. If you could just, you see this police line that is here at the moment. The police line that is here, that is separating the media from the deceased. The deceased man, of course, who was shot a bit earlier on today. A statement that was... all right, I'm going to bring you in, Mr. Mfeka, as well. You seem to want to clarify something.
There's an update I need to give, which is very important.
All right, what is that update?
There's a claim by the South African Police Service that there's no correlation between his death and the police. This is someone who died in front of us here. We saw him being shot when we were running away from police. So I want police not to run. The postmortem hopefully will reveal this. The man was shot in the head several times by rubber bullets, hence his collapse and later passing on. So there's a very fine line that must not be played. Police are the ones who killed this man, and we must not run away from that responsibility. That's what I want to say.
The deceased is not a student. Are we in agreement there?
That is yet to be finalized.
According to a statement that was released, if I could just show it to you, Mr. Mfeka, a statement that was released that says that reports indicate Netcare They're saying that reports indicate that an adult male had been shot while authorities were dispersing the protesters. On arrival, basically, the man was unresponsive and on the pavement.
Up until I've confirmed with the university registrar, only then can I say he's not a student. But even then, even though he's not a student, no one deserves to die because he was walking around Braamfontein in the event that he's not a student. No one should die because of protests in this country. If we allow the criminalization of protest, we will be doing what the apartheid government did to us. And if the apartheid government did to us what is supposed to be done today, we're going to respond in the need that needs to be.
So you'll continue with your protest until whom comes and addresses you?
We're going to continue with the protest until Minister Nzimande comes, until Zeppelin Vilakazi meets all our demands. There's no student at Wits University that must not be allowed to register. As it regards the national project, the free education agenda needs to be back on the table. We can't keep on deferring it every year. 2015 and 2016 must not have went in vain. Yes, we saw in 2017 that there was a pronouncement of NEPSAS from being a loan system to being a grant. Now the gains of that are being reversed. And if we allow for those gains to be reversed, then we will be failing an entire generation.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mafeka. We appreciate your time. The president of the SRC at Wits University, let me just bring you up to speed with what's taking place here. I'm going to strip out of the shot at the moment. We can't really, Nzinga, show you these visuals. Beyond those two cars, the Metro Police vehicle, as well as the white bakkie that you see, the pathologists are still conducting their investigations on the man who was shot dead here, walking out of that clinic that you will see there right in front of us. More police have been brought in. You see this line that is separating us from the point where they are doing this investigation. According to a statement that was released by Netcare, Netcare says they responded to a shooting on the corner of De Beer and Steeman Street in Braamfontein. That's where I'm standing. And they say reports indicate that the adult male had been shot while authorities were busy dispersing protesters. On arrival, the statement says the patient was found unresponsive on the pavement, and basically a Netcare 911 emergency care practitioner assessed the man. However, he had shown no signs of life and was sadly declared dead at the particular time. I'm going to see if there's any possibility at this point in Nzinga. I'm going to ask Tulo Murare to come with me once again, and I'll see if there's anyone who's also able to speak to us from the EFF Student Command as well. I'm going to move towards this direction. I'll leave my colleague Tulo Munare on these visuals while I try and speak to someone from the EFF Student Command, and let's hear what their concerns.
Visuals there from the aftermath of the protests at the University of the Witwatersrand and outside there in Braamfontein, where we know that one person has been shot and killed. Chriselda Lewis on the scene interviewing student leaders who say the issue is the same issue that they have always been protesting about, saying there are no divisions between the different political parties that are represented in student protests there. The EFF and the ANC reported to have clashes, but the student leaders speaking to Chriselda there saying there are no divisions, perhaps selfish individuals there are arguing, but generally the students are together. Let's cross back to Chriselda Lewis.
Sir, we see here concerns that you are raising, but spoken to the SRC at Wits University. From your aspect, what are the main concerns regarding students?
Thank you very much. I think also first highlight and here where we are in this scene. We just lost one of our own. That's a black soul that we just lost here. So there was an altercation here. Students were peacefully protesting, walking to Wits University, demanding nothing but free education, because that's what we believe for and that's what we stand for. So we're here now because police started shooting. A life elimination was then discharged here. We lost one of our own. This is a scene where we're here to mourn. So this program that we have convened on here is Ofunda Ngenkani. So this is a program that we engage on each and every year to fight for the hopeless, the marginalized, and the downtrodden masses of our people. So what is happening now at Wits, what is happening now at CJC, Central Johannesburg TVET College, contradict what the Student Command stand for. The Student Command stand for increase in space, structural exclusion. Who are saying it must fall?
Are you going to stay on these visuals? You'll continue to speak to me, sir. Just give me 1 second. My colleague Tulomonaro will stay on these visuals while I continue this conversation. So you were saying, so the fight is for basically the exclusion of young people from these universities.
Yes. So the struggle now that is taking place is the exclusion of the hopeless and the marginalized masses of our people. Wits University now just turned back over thousands of students because they don't have money. We released a statement, we wrote to Wits University, demanding them to freeze historical debts, demanding them to waive registration fees, because we are all aware of the current pandemic. Our parents, they don't have money. Even those bursaries, they are struggling now to pay fees for students. So in the meantime, they must just allow students to register without being compelled to pay any fees. That's the struggle we're fighting for. We are also appreciating the collaboration from other stakeholders and other students from the TVETs who are here, because they believe that this is not only about vets, but this is all about young people who are marginalized and who are excluded by the system. So we're saying we're going to take this struggle not only to vets, not only to UJ, we're going to take this struggle to all institutions of higher learning. We're going to TVET colleges to also wage the very same fight. Our demand now, comrades, is that we must fight for Minister Nzimande to step down. We took him to court after he recklessly made a decision to exclude 20,000 black students. We are saying that cannot happen. As if that was not enough, Minister Nzimande is continuing now enforcing to institutions of higher education to demand registration fee. We are asking the question, where do we expect those black students to get money? Because their parents, their families lost jobs. Even the corporate world that used to participate in social programs of bursaries and internship, they are struggling now.
What is your response to some quarters of government saying there simply is no money?
Come again?
What is your response to certain quarters of government saying there simply is no money?
Correct. We cannot agree to that, because one thing that one must note is that allowing students to register does not need any money. Allowing students to get accommodation does not speak of money. We are saying they must just have that peace to allow black lives to access education. Otherwise, these black students, they have nothing. They don't own economy, they don't own land, they are only relying on education. So if you want to remove them from the only last hope, then they better take our life, because otherwise we have nothing to lose.
Thank you very much indeed for your time. You see these live visuals here where students have now gathered again, and they're saying they're not going to move from here until someone from within the South African Police Service does address them. Nzinga, that has not happened at this particular time. We're still waiting for an official statement to come from the South African Police Service. The only one that I had was the one pertaining to, all right, something that's just come in at the moment. The Independent Police Investigative Directorate has dispatched an investigation team to the Wits crime scene. This statement reads at the moment, and Nzinga, I'm just bringing it to you as it's come through my cell phone at this stage. The Directorate has dispatched 4 investigating officers to probe allegations. The team will also cordon off the crime scene, or already has been cordoned off, to conduct an investigation, including locating the person with the footage or identifying the eyewitnesses. I think, Nzinga, that's going to clarify a lot of speculation in terms of what has taken place here this morning. As you would know, that pathologists are still conducting their investigations at the moment. But to summarize basically what all this is about, what students are basically saying is that thousands have been excluded on the simple basis that there are issues of historical debt. And of course, there had been some sentiments that had also been shared, you'd recall, that indicated that government simply didn't have the money for first-year students. How all of that's going to be addressed, and some of the information that has been put out into the public domain, how that is going to be addressed in terms of what the Minister of Higher Education and Training will say. But what we do know at this particular point is that the students are not going to move from here. One part of the protesting students says they'll move from here to Solomon Mahlangu House. We'll try to follow them to that particular area. But students also trying to iron out their issues now in terms of how they take their struggle forward. And as far as they're concerned, they're not going to move from this particular point until a senior member, I guess, within the South African Police Service does come to address them at this particular point. Putwam, let's bring in Sasko Nzinga just very quickly to get their views as well in terms of this protest that is continuing. You're also saying, as part of this, you're not going to move from here until someone addresses your demands.
Of course. We're saying we will shut down institutions of higher learning. Moving from here, from tomorrow, we are shutting all institutions of higher learning, demanding budget cuts to be taken back, demanding that Tito Mboweni brings back the 23.6 billion, bring back 9 billion from NSFAS, because this is the cause of all that we're having currently. What we're having currently is a result of budgetary cuts, and therefore we won't allow that. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Fiona. All right, thank you very much indeed for that. As you can see, from the point at which we are now, we're not sure if the students are going to move from this area. But I think overall, Nzinga, if we could stay on those visuals with my colleague, most of the concerns that are being raised here are, of course, pertaining to student funding challenges as a result of what has been taking place here. But these students are saying that they would need the Higher Education and Training Minister, Nzimande, to come and address their issues. There must be a clear issue from government in terms of how they're going to resolve some of the challenges that are being faced pertaining to student funding at this particular point. And it seems like once that is not done, they're going to continue with their protests. So students saying that they're going to continue, they're going to shut down universities now. And you must recall, of course, Nzinga, from the time that we are in at this particular point, where universities had not had the opportunity to conduct a normal schooling, if I can, due to COVID-19. Having any delays, I guess, again in the academic year, is not something that I guess certain quarters would be happy about. But then again, the students are saying their demands are legitimate. If one is excluded, those should be fought for. No one is allowed to be excluded within any tertiary institution in this country, whether they have the money or not to study at those particular institutions. So at this particular point, no one senior from the South African Police Service yet to address the students here. So I guess we're going to be here for a majority of the afternoon.
Chriselda Lewis giving us an update there from Braamfontein following those protests, students protesting over issues of education, funding and exclusion, calling for the Higher Education Minister, Dr. Nzimande, to address them. Some student party leaders calling for Nzimande to step down and saying they will shut down campuses from tomorrow if their demands are not met. Also saying they're going to spread those protests to TVET colleges and other institutions such as the University of Johannesburg. Of course, SABC News will be following this story and keeping you updated.